Welcome to Madison Square Garden for the first of two big semifinals tonight of the Big East Championship. Number one, West Virginia and Villanova. That's our first semifinal. And then don't forget about the nightcap. Syracuse and Connecticut still to come here tonight.
Hold on, we gotta
Maybe it's the cold steel structures engulfing your every step. Or is it the 8 million sets of eyes that add to the mounting pressure? 2 days, 7 battles, 4 survivors.
Get this pressure pouring out of my head. Get this pressure pouring out of my head.
The Mountaineers have proven how gritty a country kid can be. The Cats bring a local flavor, looking for a street fight. An upstate win has produced shooters with ice in their veins. But the reigning holder of the trophy is more than ready to defend its turf. You're going to crumble under the weight, succumb to those blinding lights, yield to those glaring horns, or fight for your place among the city's elite.
Can't get this pressure pouring out of my head.
And welcome, everybody, back inside Madison Square Garden here in New York City. Our continuing coverage of Championship Week presented by 7-Up. The first of two semifinals tonight from the Big East Championship presented by Aeropostale. We've got the 8th seed, West Virginia, taking on Villanova in our first game. The Mountaineers upset the top seed Boston College yesterday. Villanova's as hot as any team around right now. And then how about the nightcap? The second semifinal tonight at 9 Eastern. The last two national champions will tangle, Connecticut and Syracuse. Hi, everybody. Dan Shulman, Len Elmore. Glad you're along with us for what figures to be a great night of basketball. A lot of folks, Len, around the country don't know a whole lot about West Virginia, even though they've had a terrific season. How did they get to this point?
Well, in a season of peaks and valleys, Mountaineers are on the mountaintop right now. They've won 7 out of their last 10, and they've won 4 out of the last 5. Now, in mid-January, they lost 5 in a row and 7 out of 10, but they are a scrappy bunch. They're the type of team that loves to shoot the three in a controlled offensive situation, and they just know how to win. That's what's gotten them into the NCAA tournament, in my opinion.
And one of the unusual things about the Mountaineers is maybe their best three-point shooter, at least one of them, is their center, a big kid from West Virginia, out of Martinsburg, West Virginia, by the name of Kevin Pittsnoggle.
Well, you look at that three-point shooting, he's a tough matchup at center because of his range. On February 5th, he was reinstated as a starter, and West Virginia's been 7-2 since then. And Randy Foye, absolutely terrific. 23 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. A variety of skills that he showed against Pittsburgh.
Our starting lineups tonight. West Virginia beat BC yesterday without one of their best players, Tyrone Sally, who was under the weather. He's expected to play tonight, but is not in the starting lineup. Frank Young, who had 14 big points for the Mountaineers yesterday, gets the start again. 3 terrific guards for Villanova in Mike Nardi, Randy Foye, Allen Ray, and a second-team All-Big East performer up front in Curtis Sumter. So, how does Villanova prepare for this unusual West Virginia team? Mark Jones may have the answer.
Yeah, you know, Dan, that's the question that begs right now. I spoke to Jay Wright, the head coach of Villanova, a few moments ago. Said he took his team through a 30-minute walkthrough this morning and then subsequently told his crew, listen, guys, they do some unique things offensively as well as defensively. So let's not let it be about what West Virginia does. Let's let it be about what we do. And his players, to a man, say that we want to come out and draw first blood in this game, quote unquote. Tough against a team that hasn't trailed much in this tournament, guys.
Hardly at all. Good point, Mark, as West Virginia has led basically wire to wire to both games. Tonight's Big East semifinals here on ESPN, available in high definition, presented by Phillips. Ready to go here in game one at the Garden, and Villanova, wearing white, will control the opening tap. And the Wildcats, Len, and you've seen them a lot this year. These 3 guards love to put the ball on the floor, and they make plays.
Well, look for Nova to start using their quickness on offense. They want to get it into the gaps against the 1-3 zone and off the man-to-man. And defensively, look for them to try to disrupt now, deny on the passing lane.
West Virginia, a lot of motion. Everybody handles, everybody passes, and everybody shoots, especially the three. Frank Young knocks it down. This guy's turning into an unbelievable story. He's basically the ninth man, gets about 6-8 minutes a game, but he stepped into the starting lineup with Tyrone Sally out with an illness yesterday, had 13 points in the first half in the win against BC.
Here's that 1-3-1 right now. Again, you got to take people off the bounce. Nardi not the guy to do the penetration.
Another turnover committed by the Wildcats, and West Virginia off to a good start, just as they were in round one against Providence. And just like they did yesterday against Boston College, they led by 22 at the half. Mike Gansey, the transfer from St. Bonaventure, has had a couple of very good games here in this tournament. He misses his first shot. As mentioned, Tyrone Sally did not play yesterday. And bothered by a stomach ailment, is expected to play here tonight, but does not start. A terrific player, and that's what makes it all the more impressive that the Mountaineers have gotten to the semis.
Well, this is a team that likes to execute, using screens and cuts, taking open shots. And here against the 1-3-1, that's one of the opportunities you have, throwing over it. Nova's got some athletes, put it up in the air, let them go get it.
Will Sheridan on the assist from Mike Nardi. Young looking inside for Pittsnoggle. At 6'10", he'll post, but now he'll pop as he comes out. This is his game. He is one of the best three-point shooters in the Big East, and with his size, he pulls big guys away from the basket where they're not comfortable defending.
Absolutely. You rarely find a big guy who wants to go out there and get down low and play the D, and you got to get your hand up on Pittsnoggle.
You got to get your hand up on Randy Foy, who had a terrific game yesterday against Pittsburgh with 23 points. The Big East leader in steals this year, and a third-team All-League performer, as now West Virginia turns it over. And one more look at what Kevin Pittsnoggle does best.
Well, you just see him step out right there. Nobody really willing to help Sheridan. Sheridan very slow. There's the screen right there. Gansey sets the screen, and nobody helps.
And look at Pittsnoggle's numbers. You know, stomach ailments have been about the best thing to happen to West Virginia this year. Tyrone Sally comes down ill yesterday, so John Beilein puts Frank Young into the lineup. He has a great game. Dior Fisher is sick about 6 weeks ago. Kevin Pittsnoggle goes into the starting lineup and has been on fire ever since. And John Beilein, a terrific coach, one of the more underrated coaches in Division I. He's had success at virtually every level of coaching, as Curtis Sumter is called for the offensive foul. Well, let's get the latest now on Tyrone Sally. Back to Mark Jones.
Yeah, guys, interestingly enough, with 5 minutes to go in yesterday's game, in which he didn't play, went back into the locker room and, I'm told, vomited by the trainers. Anyway, this morning, he was able to get in a good night of sleep, actually 12 hours last night. Had some toast, fruit, a lot of Gatorade, had another good pregame meal at 3 o'clock. He says he is feeling 100% better. They hope to get him into the game sometime today.
All right, Jonesy, thank you very much. Another turnover. Both teams are having trouble handling the ball here early. Hairbear with a tip out to Gansey. And what a recovery. That was Allen Ray getting back to block the shot for the Wildcats.
And you could see him lining it up as Gansey tried to stutter step his way to the basket.
And then Ray at the other end with a turnaround jumper from about 15 feet away. When Foy and Ray get it going in the backcourt for Villanova, as anybody who saw the Kansas game back in January can attest to, the Wildcats can play with anybody in the country.
And that was a testament to Ray's athleticism, the thing that he and Foy bring to the game. They can block shots. They can cut you off in the passing lanes. They can deny. Problem is, though, Will Sheridan is going to have to wake up and understand that he can't help a lot. You know, his guards are going to have to stay with their men. He's going to have to stay with Pittsnoggle.
Throw this out there just so it's out there. Of every single Big East game that was played this year, league game, the most lopsided game as Foy knocks down a three was Villanova's 38-point win over West Virginia. It was a conference opener for both teams way back on January the 5th. But West Virginia is a much better team now than they were then as J.D. Collins lays it in. The Mountaineers back on top, and Jay Wright's calling an early timeout. He does not like their defense. And we haven't talked about it a lot, Len, but Villanova's really made tremendous strides defensively here this season, but we're not seeing it so far tonight.
Well, we're not, and the difficulty is your center, who's supposed to be in the middle against penetration, the last line of defense, has to come out on Pittsnoggle. And once Sheridan now comes out on Pittsnoggle, you got the middle wide open, so the guards have to stay in front of their men. Take a look at the drive right here. You know, Sheridan very wary of Pittsnoggle and didn't get over quick enough. And that's what Pittsnogle does to defenses. He just brings big guys out and opens up a lot of lanes.
Now, he's not an overnight success. He's a junior, made the Big East All-Rookie team 2 years ago. Then last year, Dior Fisher came into the program. Pittsnogle was not a starter, and it was not a starter midway through the season when you and I were down in Morgantown for a big game against Pittsburgh, the backyard brawl. There's Fisher, a very good shot blocker. He was ill that night. Pittsnogle got back into the lineup. And when they play him at center as opposed to power forward, then it's very difficult for the other team center to guard him because the other team center isn't used to playing 23 feet away from the basket.
And conversely, when he plays power forward, he's not nearly as effective because you got people playing him who are accustomed to playing on the perimeter.
Allen Ray, no. Follow, no. Sheridan's got it again. And the foul, I believe, will go on Pittsnogle. So we are off to a great start here tonight between West Virginia and Villanova in the first of two semifinals from the big city. More basketball coming your way next here on ESPN.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of the 2005 Big East Championship, presented by Aeropostale, is brought to you by 7-Up. If you want 100% natural lemon and lime flavors, the only way to go is up. And in part by Audi. It's greater to lead than follow. Audi, never follow. And Microsoft. Your potential, our passion.
Welcome back, everyone. Madison Square Garden. The Mountaineers leading the Wildcats by a score of 10-9 here in the first half. The Villanova Wildcats with as many as 5 New York area Metro players on their roster. And I had a chance to speak with them before the game. One of the biggest things for them is being able to put aside some of the distractions, a lot of the ticket requests from family members, but it has been, to a man, a great experience for them. Now, the benefit for head coach Jay Wright, he tells me that those players have added a dimension of toughness to a program that previously, in years past, was perceived as being a little bit on the soft side. He understands it's a process, and they've turned that perception around, guys.
All right, Mark, thank you very much. And it's really been a 3-year process for this class, this highly thought of New York City area recruiting class of Randy Foye, Allen Ray, Curtis Sumter, and Jason Frazier. These guys are now juniors. They have yet to go to the NCAA tournament. They've had a lot of things go wrong in the last couple of years, as Jay Wright will tell you. A ton of injuries, especially to Jason Frazier. Folks may recall the phone card situation where just about everybody on the team used a phone card without authorization. They had to stagger suspensions, which really wrecked the end of one season and the beginning of the last season. But this year, even though they've had some injuries again, they've played through them. They've matured. They're tough. They're skilled. Dior Fisher inside can't finish for West Virginia. And right now at 22-6, not only are the Wildcats going to the NCAA tournament, Len, they're looking at a pretty solid seed.
Well, they certainly are. And again, it comes down to the fact this is a team that found themselves. You know, Jay Wright very comfortable going 3 guards, sometimes even against bigger teams, forcing the other guys to match up.
Here's Kyle Lowry, a talented freshman, who's the 4th guard, so he'll play for any of the other 3, giving Nardi a bit of a rest right now as Lowry misses his first shot. And in off the bench for West Virginia, number 3 is Patrick Beeline, the coach's son. From the corner, that 3 misses for Tyrone Sally, who has checked into the game as well, so getting his first action of the night after missing all of yesterday with a stomach ailment. Randy Foye takes the bump, can't finish. And the rebound to Fisher. No Pittsnogle in the game right now, so things a little bit different for West Virginia. But the guy with the ball, Beeline, has almost unlimited range on his 3-point shot. He's not getting minutes just because he's the coach's son. The guy can light it up when he's hot from the outside.
Well, West Virginia being very deliberate right now. They're not really a slowdown team. They're a controlled team. That means they're going to keep working until they get a good shot. But if a good shot comes off the first and second pass, they're willing to take it. Right now, the defense by Villanova is tremendous as the shot clock winds down to 1.
Beeline misses the 3. Offensive rebound, Dior Fisher. Collins not really a shooter. Check that.
Say what?
Compared to the other guys, Collins not really a shooter as much from the outside. He's no Pittsnogle, I'll say that. But Collins knocks down to 3, and he's actually shot the ball better, Len, here at the Big East tournament than he did for the entire regular season.
Well, he's in the game, obviously, because of his quickness, his ball handling, his floor leadership. But he's got to take an open shot when he gets it, as I mentioned.
Now that guy's a shooter. Allen Ray, one of the best shooters in the Big East, 40% from beyond the arc on the season.
Allen Ray is a catch-and-shoot guy with the added dimension of being able to put it on the floor with a little head fake. Look at Lowry right there, really hawking.
Good pressure. Lowry out of Philadelphia was recruited by Pittsburgh, among other teams, and you could see how Pittsburgh would be interested in him. He's a really hard-nosed, tough kid, and again, that's what Jay Wright's looking for at Villanova. Lowry adds another dimension to that, and did we mention the guy can also put the ball on the floor and get it to the basket?
Well, Kyle Lowry, he's a no-nonsense guy, will not back down. He's a tough slasher, and he plays, as we saw, a pretty good defense. Now, for West Virginia, Dior Fisher has to get tougher inside as far as grabbing the rebounds and keeping them. He's had his hands on a number of rebounds and had them stripped.
Lowry called for the foul for Villanova. Later tonight, Championship Week presented by 7-Up continues here on ESPN and on ESPN2. Right here on ESPN, Len and I will bring you the second semifinal for the Big East Championship presented by Aeropostale, Syracuse and Connecticut. And are we looking forward to that game? We hope you're along with us. Or if you're an ACC fan, over on ESPN2, a quarterfinal between the Duke Blue Devils and the Virginia Cavaliers. So you've got options. Already a lot of interesting goings on in the ACC earlier today as Clemson almost beat North Carolina. Had them for about 36 minutes.
Just so competitive, and when you get to the ACC tournament, everybody raises their level of play several notches.
Allen Ray, nice look in the corner. Lowry knocks it down, and now going flying to the floor is Joe Hairbear, and Jason Frazier is going to pick up the foul.
Well, again, it's physical underneath. West Virginia doing their best to block off the bigger Villanova players. You take a look right there. There's the first thing. Dior Fisher with a body, and I'm surprised no call there. But Hairbear on the right side trying to block Sumter off the glass. And he just throws him down. That was Lowry's shot right there, but trying to block Sumter on the glass. It was really a violent little collision there. Sumter got caught.
And you saw the intensity on the face of Jay Wright, the fourth-year head coach of Villanova. Looks like a push there, but they're not going to get the call. As Foy looked like he kind of nudged Sally out of bounds. Well, West Virginia down 5 right now to Villanova. Unfamiliar territory for the Mountaineers the last couple of days here in the Big East tournament. They have led almost the entire time. They've only trailed in the first 2 games for a total of 28 seconds. And Len, they blew out Boston College yesterday in the first half. We're up 22 at halftime, although the Eagles got it back within 4, and West Virginia really had to hang on to win the game.
Well, West Virginia kind of succumbed to the pressure in the second half. But when they jump on you, particularly with the threes and get you behind, it forces you out of character, and that's what happened to Boston College. As Mark Jones told us at the beginning of the telecast, Villanova was not about to let that happen. They knew they had to come out here and get on the board quickly and often to get West Virginia playing from behind.
It's the largest deficit of the tournament for the Mountaineers. 7 points already for Randy Foy. And now we've got a call going against the Mountaineers, and if it's Pittsnoggle, and I believe it is his second. Early trouble for West Virginia here tonight against the Wildcats. We'll step aside and bring you a Championship Week update on the other side of this break. Thank you. Yeah, that Minnesota win over Indiana may be the end of the Hoosiers' hopes, however slim they may have been. Now for West Virginia, Kevin Pittsnoggle then picking up his second foul already.
Well, watch. Pittsnoggle gets smacked upside the head, but it's always the second guy as he tries to get a little payback on Frazier in clearing out. It's always the second guy that gets caught. And Pittsnoggle has to realize how important he is to his team's effort. Using your hands instead of your shoulders and hips is usually a no-no, and you'll get called.
Terrific outside shooter, so he goes out, and Dior Fisher comes in for him, and I think Dior Fisher just got called for a foul by Bob Donato, was working along with Pat Driscoll and Mike Kitts here tonight. It is Fisher, his first.
An awful lot of physical play in that paint. We saw a few moments ago a foul by Sumter and throwing down the block guy who was Hairbear, but at the end you still have to be able to fight for position down there. You can't throw guys around, but you got to bump and grind.
I think Randy Foy is feeling it right now. Into double digits already, and the lead is into double digits now for Villanova. And people who haven't seen a lot of the Wildcats, watch Foy, watch Ray. Together they are as dangerous as any tandem around because they can both shoot, they can both drive, and they're terrific defensive players as well. Now a 3 from the corner for Mike Gansey, his first points of the night. A terrific all-round player for West Virginia. We mentioned he transferred out of St. Bonaventure, and he's one of their leaders in just about every statistical category.
take a look. Villanova likes to start their offense there on the left side, and you know, Allen Ray likes to drive from that side as well. They seem to be finding gaps and finding openings in the offense on that left side as they're facing the basket.
Sally into Fisher.
Boy, Fisher passed up an easy shot to kick it out for a three. You know, you're a big fella 3 feet away from the basket. You got to use your body and go up. He was point-blank range.
Jason Frazier on him, and Frazier is a great shot blocker, as is Fisher. And maybe they're giving each other a little bit too much respect.
Now, I don't care who it is. You're 3 feet from the basket. You're 6'11" with that kind of reach. You just throw a little jump hook up there.
Curtis Sumter misses the three. He is dangerous from out there, but misses here. A 7-point lead for Villanova, and Randy Foy's off to a terrific start.
Yeah, Randy Foy's feeling it. We mentioned before against Pittsburgh, 23 points. And Mike Gansey, he had a career high as well. And here he is, just a little dribble, fake, and then backing up to shoot the three. He's got more skills than we give him credit for.
Beeline wide open for three, and West Virginia can shoot themselves back into a game. We saw Gansey hit a three earlier, and for more on him, let's go back to Jonesy.
Yeah, guys, turns out that Gansey's popularity transcends the borders of West Virginia. He's from Olmsted Falls, Ohio. Turns out he got a phone call from one of his high school teachers yesterday after their win against Boston College. Now, it turns out that they stopped all classes right around noon and emptied out the classes into the auditorium so they could all watch the victorious West Virginia team behind his 20 points. That's some popularity, guys.
You got that right. Well, there's all the Mountaineer maniacs that Len and I got a chance to meet down in Morgantown last month. We know they're all tuning in here. And their Mountaineers are on an 8-0 run right now to get back within 2, even with Pittsnoggle on the bench. Now a block by Sally.
Pretty good job of getting back by Villanova, stopping the transition break. But West Virginia doesn't mind. They're at their best in their half court, just doing fundamental things like ball fake, driving to the basket. Their time, Beeline in a lot of trouble.
A rare drive by Beeline, used to shooting the three. 2 Mountaineers hit the floor, but West Virginia's got the ball. And while Mark Jones was talking about Mike Gansey was laying it in for the Mountaineers.
Well, a nice strip there by Beeline, and Gansey just beats his man down the floor.
Sat out last year as a transfer on the season. Gansey averaging better than 11 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists per game. And he's a real menace defensively at the top of that 1-3-1 as well.
Yeah, obviously a terrific decision in his transfer from St. Bonnie's when they had all the problems. And he's here now with a chance to go to the NCAA tournament. But talk about Frank Young.
Mr. Confidence, huh?
I'm telling you, hit huge shots against Boston College. And now, you know, you get your chance, which he's a definite illustration of why you have to be ready. You're sitting on the bench. You always be ready because you never know when your number's called.
How many guys can do what Allen Ray does as consistently as he did right there? One bounce, pull up right in the guy's face, and drill a long jumper.
Well, that's strength, and that's also respect for his driving ability. Defender, once the ball goes on the floor, has to retreat. And then Ray, with that strength in his legs, just able to explode and elevate.
Ray and Foy have combined for 17 of the Wildcats' 25. Gansey gets the bounce. Wow. 3-pointer for Gansey, and West Virginia's back on top. And the Mountaineers, Len, are 6 for 10 from 3-point range. They shoot the three more often than any team in the Big East. And the last 10 games or so, they have been on fire from the outside. No pressure for the Mountaineers. They're playing some great basketball right now, leading Nova by 1.
I can't get this pressure pouring out of my head. Can't get this pressure pouring out of my head.
Well, so many so-called bubble teams around the country trying to make a statement in their conference tournament, something that West Virginia has already done here in New York, beating Providence, then beating Boston College. They've already got 20 wins, including a number of quality wins. Just about everybody seems to think they're a lock to get in, and they've had 3 different seasons all rolled up into one. They started 10-0, shot the ball very well from beyond the arc, then got cold and lost 7 out of 9. Then all of a sudden, when Pittsnoggle got back into the starting lineup against Pittsburgh, got hot again. And West Virginia's been a terrific team ever since. And Len, with a win over BC, 2 wins over Pittsburgh, including 1 on the road, a win at LSU, a win at North Carolina State, and a win over George Washington. They're building a pretty impressive resume right now.
Well, they certainly are. And again, this is a team that is you mentioned peaks and valleys. The thing about it that's so impressive, they were able to overcome, you know, that bad stretch in January and come back and play equally as well as they did in the beginning of the season. As I said, they discovered exactly who they were. The insertion of Pittsnoggle in the starting lineup certainly helped as well. You know, they know they have to scrap, they have to execute, set screens, get people open for threes. And that essentially sets the tone for their offense. Now you can start driving because everybody's got so much anxiety. That's the ability to shoot from beyond the arc.
Pittsnoggle on the bench with 2 fouls, and he's been there for a while. Hairbear misses the 3. Frank Young's not missing anything right now. This guy has been unbelievable. 13 first-half points for the under-the-weather Tyrone Sally yesterday, and 3 for 3, 7 points already here tonight.
Well, Frank Young is locked in. I mean, totally focused. You can see when he shoots that jumper, and that means he's got a tremendous amount of confidence as well.
Gansey with a block, and back come the Mountaineers.
Sheridan playing a little soft underneath. He gets the ball on there. He's got to power up.
Collins, the extra pass. Frank Young's feeling it. This is unbelievable. Again, this is not a guy who went from being the 6th man to a starter. This is the 9th man in their rotation, averaging 8 minutes per game when he plays, stepping into the starting lineup out of necessity, and he's becoming a go-to force for them.
And I think it also helps. I'm sure the coaching staff has totally encouraged him, told him that he can do no wrong. And when you give a guy that kind of confidence, and he's having this kind of night, you can only expect it to continue.
Len, West Virginia's on an 18-2 run with Pittsnoggle in foul trouble.
Nice pass.
Gansey from Fisher. It's a 20-2 run for the Mountaineers over Villanova.
Well, they've been able to do it with a lot of guys. You talk about the team, the West Virginia Mountaineers being unknown. You know, they've got some unknowns on their bench, and Frank Young is one of them. Villanova really not prepared to deal with Young, as you see him too wide open too often. And then this is a terrific pass right here, but York Fisher recognizes the double team and just hits Gansey on the weak side.
Great start here for West Virginia, leading Villanova by 8. Len, tomorrow, ESPN and ESPN2's coverage of Championship Week, presented by 7-Up, continues with semifinal action from the ACC and the Big 12. First, it's Carolina and Georgia Tech tomorrow at 1:30 here on ESPN. And then the winner of this evening's quarterfinals will tangle in a semifinal tomorrow at 3:30. Big 12 semis, the Phillips Big 12 semis, begin at 2 Eastern tomorrow on ESPN2. Oklahoma, Texas Tech, and a still to be determined matchup in the second semifinal. Games in both leagues subject to blackout in local markets.
I think Villanova's really having some difficulty now offensively because they're not attacking any longer. You know, they seem to be content passing the ball from side to side instead of exploring inside, kicking it back out, and getting it to Foy in situations where he can go off the bounce.
West Virginia.
That's what you have to do.
Driving like Allen Ray just did. West Virginia led in the Big East Championship semifinals for the first time in their history. This is their 10th year in the Big East. They're the number 8 seed. No number 8 seed has ever won the Big East Championship, and they've got some work to do that, obviously. But they have been they have made one of the major statements around the country in the last couple of days, and now they're trying to make another one here tonight against a very talented Villanova team.
And remember, we talked about that 38-point loss back in January 5th. That's got to be fresh in the minds of West Virginia.
And it bears repeating, of every single Big East conference game that was played this year, that was the most lopsided game. Villanova 84, West Virginia 46.
And in that game, the West Virginia guards, Gansey, Hairbear, Collins, Beeline, combined for just 3 points on 2 of 19 shooting. And conversely, Nova's 3 guards combined for 55 points. Allen Ray had 26. Much different story tonight, particularly with Frank Young getting involved. And he's not a guard.
Luke Bonner is into the game now for West Virginia. Big guy, the younger brother of Matt Bonner, now in the NBA, the former Florida star. Gansey will drop in the floater. 35 points in barely 15 minutes for West Virginia against a Villanova team, which was one of the best teams defensively in the Big East this year, allowing only 62 points per game. And Gansey's up to a dozen. Now playing some pretty good defense on Kyle Lowry, who just muscles his way by him and banks it home. And Lowry's a guy whose first goal always is to try to put the ball on the floor and get into the paint.
But both of those guys, again, able to continue to kind of force the issue a little bit. You got to attack. Nobody's giving you jump shots. Look how close everyone's being played.
Bonner, a nice kick to the wide open Joe Hairbear. Hairbear, the junior from Germany, a political science major and an academic All-American with a 4.0 grade point average. He can shoot a little bit as well. Yet another three-pointer for West Virginia. They're now 8 for 13 from three-point range.
And if it's Hairbear, if it's Young on the other side, the guys are much too open to be that good a shooter.
Frazier, Jason Frazier slams it down. The guy has had a stress fracture, multiple knee surgeries, broke his hand this year, had surgery, still has it wrapped. Can't play a ton of minutes for a variety of physical reasons, but doing a good job in there. Now Bonner gets held by Allen Ray on a mismatch, and Ray will get called for the foul. 7-point lead for the Mountaineers. They are red hot with Gansey, the floater. And from outside as well, West Virginia by 7. Thank you very much. Well, a Philly team in St. Joe's leading here, a Philly team in Villanova trailing. How come West Virginia's been able to score so easily?
Well, keep an eye on this guy right here as he gets open. It really comes down to them running some interesting stuff like Mark Jones told us. Now, right here, watch the roll. He's got to come up and help out, and this guy's just going to step up for just a nice little jump shot on the dish. Bonner penetrates, kicks it off, and they totally forget about the shooter, Joe Hairbear.
Well, as we mentioned, the West Virginia coach, John Beilein, highly respected. Doesn't have a huge name nationally. He's coached at Canisius. He's coached at Richmond, now with West Virginia. So spots that don't get a lot of media attention, but he's taken Canisius and Richmond to multiple postseasons, on his way to taking the Mountaineers to the NCAA tournament this year.
Look at the 5-out offense. You got your big man way out top. You know, people trying to spread the floor a little bit. Look at the back door right there.
Then look at the reverse by Gansey. A spectacular layup for Gansey, who's got 14 points already.
And we talked about the quickness of Villanova on the defensive end. And what West Virginia now is doing is using the aggressiveness of Villanova against them. You want to step out, you want to deny it, we'll get a little movement, force you to move and help, then go back door on you.
Curtis Sumter, no. Gansey the rebound. He's fun to watch, and this team is fun to watch. And watching the last couple of games, they were day games, and watching Sean McDonough, Bill Raftery, and Jay Billis do the games, you could hear in their voices how much they enjoyed watching a team play the kind of basketball that the Mountaineers have down to a science right now.
Again, it bears repeating. These guys know who they are. They're not going to wow you with basic one-on-one moves. They have to play together as a unit. And, you know, that's about penetrate, dish. It's about scrapping, just like they did there to get the offensive rebound.
Now, the shot clock reset. The ball did not hit the rim. It's not going to end up mattering as they get the layup. But Jay Wright's all over the officials saying, why'd you put a fresh 35 up there when the three was an air ball? But everything is going West Virginia's way right now. They might score more points in the first half tonight than they scored in the entire game against Villanova when they lost to them in January.
Well, this is all about confidence right now. Allen Ray's got to be careful now. He doesn't have to force the issue. They got to spread the floor a little bit as well. Too close together. Again, ball goes to the top right there on the drive by Hairbear. You know, Sheridan not used to playing out there on the wing. They're getting a lot of switches, a lot of mismatches, and they're taking full advantage.
Look at those numbers that Gansey has put up. This is the third game for West Virginia. No team has ever won the Big East tournament when they've had to play 4 games, something that West Virginia is trying to do. Only twice has a team that had to play on the opening day even advanced to the championship.
That was a
Randy
good drive.
Foye again.
That's a good drive against the gap on the 2-3. You know, West Virginia employing a 1-3-1, a 2-3 matchup, changing defenses, keeping Villanova off balance.
Beilein the handoff for Hairbear. Keep in mind again that West Virginia's done all this with Kevin Pittsnoggle on the bench with 2 fouls for just about the entire first half. Okay, later tonight, championship week, presented by 7-Up, continues on both networks. Len and I will bring you Syracuse and Connecticut in the second semifinal for the Big East Championship, presented by Aeropostale. What a matchup that should be. UConn's already beaten the Cuse twice this season, including Saturday. Also at 9 Eastern over on ESPN2, it's Virginia, fresh off a win over Miami yesterday, taking on J.J. Redick and Duke. Both games available in ESPN HD and ESPN2 HD, respectively. Kyle Lowry muscling one up and in, getting Nova back within 7.
I told you Kyle Lowry does not back down. He doesn't mind going into the teeth of the West Virginia defense, but that time Villanova able to get a one-on-one isolation. When they get those with the quickness of their guards, and they're playing 4 guards right now, they've got to take advantage.
About a 7-second difference between the game clock and the shot clock in what's been a terrific first half, especially for West Virginia. Fisher inside, and a foul before the shot as Gansey sneaks around there, and he finds some room under the basket, and his teammates are looking for him.
Well, what's happening right now is that Fisher at his size, and with 4 guards on the floor, he's got a mismatch regardless of who plays him. And once he gets the ball in the post, Villanova scrambling to help. Gansey just sneaks in on the weak side.
Second foul on Lowry, just the 15th foul on Villanova. So a fresh possession for the Mountaineers now with the shot clock turned off.
Look at Lowry playing Dior Fisher, who's at the top. Get on the
Get
block.
down, big fella.
You got 6-footer on you, and you're 6'11".
They're obviously trying to run something else, although it's have to be Gansey who improvises at the end of the half, and that's about the only thing that West Virginia didn't do well offensively in the first half. They scored only 46 in a blowout loss against Villanova when they played them back on January the 5th. They got 42 in the first half here tonight. Here's Mark Jones with Coach Beeline.
Coach Pittsnoggle didn't play much in the first half because of foul trouble. How were you able to keep your offense in sync?
Well, we're not a one-dimensional team. Kevin is a tremendous player, but we got a lot of guys that can score anywhere between 8 and 20 every night. So Dior Fisher's a heck of a player. Luke Bonner gave us a lift off the bench, and how come I haven't been playing Frank Young more this year? I don't know.
That's my next question. How do you not make him a starter or get him more minutes?
Yeah, he has been. We just have some upperclassmen have had great years, and he's been working hard in practice. It just shows people if they just stay with it, they're going to get their chance. You know, next year he's going to get a lot more chance than he got this year already.
Thanks a lot, Coach. Hey, Dan, they have really brought the heat. Can they hang on to the lead, unlike the BC situation, though?
That's right. Almost got away from them against the Eagles. They've got a 7-point lead on a very dangerous Villanova team at halftime. Time now for the 7-Up halftime reports.
All right, Dan, and as mentioned, a far different situation from the regular season meeting. Glad to have you along on the 7-Up halftime report. Doug Gottlieb alongside me, Reese Davis. We're going to take you around the country. Action going on everywhere. In the Big Ten, Iowa trying to build its resume. We'll check in everywhere when you come back after this.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of the 2005 Big East Championship, presented by Aeropostale, is brought to you by GMC Trucks and SUVs. We are professional grade. And Budweiser Select, a new kind of beer, brewed for a crisp taste and no aftertaste.
Can't get this pressure pouring out of my head. Can't get this pressure pouring out of my head.
We've seen a lot of Mountaineer magic here in the first half as West Virginia's put on an offensive clinic, much to the frustration of the Villanova Wildcats. Tim Thomas, a member of Villanova, the last time they advanced to the championship game of the Big East tournament, trying to rally the troops as they come out for the second half. What a first half it was, especially for West Virginia. Dan Schulman, Len Elmore back with you. You and I have seen them before. We've done them before, so I don't think you're surprised, but you're always impressed when they play like they did in the first half.
Well, I'm impressed by the fact that in the face of this Villanova pressure defense, that West Virginia is able to run what they want. They get Nova to chase them around, and then they start playing keep away to get the shots that they want. You saw Pittsnoggle there. There's Beeline. They move the ball around. Gansey from deep. And then, obviously, the surprising Frank Young from beyond the arc. West Virginia has done an excellent job of moving the ball, hitting the open man, and when the three's not there, they'll go back door on you.
Outstanding shooting numbers for both teams, especially the Mountaineers. A big rebounding advantage for West Virginia. And Curtis Sumter, as you can see, a 16-point-per-game guy so far this season. No points, 1 rebound in the first half. You can see he's playing with a knee brace. He's had a sprained knee that he's tweaked a couple of times. so he's not quite 100%, but still he was basically a non-factor in the first half. Pittsnoggle misses the shot.
Look at that strength right there by Randy Foy. Just took it right out of Gansey's hands.
Let's find out about Villanova's adjustments here in the second half with Mark Jones.
Yeah, doctors were checking out Curtis Sumter's knee at the halftime, and I asked Jay Wright about Curtis and getting him off offensively. He said, hey, Mark, I'm not concerned about Curtis. I'm more concerned with those 8 3-pointers we gave up in the first half. We got to increase our communication defensively because we got much too lackadaisical. Back to you guys.
All right, Mark, one other aspect, thank you very much, of West Virginia we haven't talked about is how many turnovers they're able to force with that 1-3-1. And we saw Hair Bear come up with it there. West Virginia forces turnovers as much as any team in the Big East.
But that's only the 4th Villanova turnover. The turnover's not really hurting them, Dan. They're trying to get too much out of nothing. If they move the ball, take what's given them, utilize their one-on-one skills like Ray right there, they're in good shape. But when you try to do too much, as Sheridan did on the last possession, try to go cross court, that's what gets you in trouble.
11 for Ray. He, Foy, and Lowry have combined for 31 of Villanova's 37 points.
That's not surprising because that's kind of the way it went the last time these two teams played, except West Virginia didn't show up. They're here tonight.
Good shooting is contagious. J.D. Collins shooting the ball as well as he has all season. Yet another 3 for West Virginia. In their overtime win over Pittsburgh a few weeks ago, West Virginia took 40 3-pointers. And they'll keep shooting.
So they make them. Remember the first half, they made nothing.
They were about 1 for 14 or something in the first half. Then they went nuts in the second half and in overtime. Here's Gansey for 3. And the rebound, Pittsnoggle.
And that's the other side of it. Villanova has to be able to limit West Virginia. West Virginia, as I said before, will scrap. They will fight you for position on the board. You know, even to the point where Villanova gets frustrated and throw them to the ground. But Villanova has to limit those offensive rebounds.
Pittsnoggle inside and a foul committed by Will Sheridan.
Again, we talked about the fact that West Virginia will continue to move the ball. There's a little penetration and just kick. Villanova has to stay at home on the shooting. You cannot help. You have to rely on your teammate to play good one-to-one defense, because if you help out, West Virginia's going to find the guy that's open.
It's amazing how quickly John Beilein has brought this program back to prominence. Pittsnoggle playing sparingly in the first half because of the foul trouble. There were a lot of bad things going on at the end of the Gale Catlett era, and he had a great run at West Virginia, but at the end he had a couple of guys who maybe shouldn't have been in the program, and John Beilein, when he came in, he had to clean house a little bit. He pushed a couple of guys out of the program, wanted to make sure that they had quality citizens in addition to quality players. And sometimes it takes 3-4 years to get through that bottoming out period and start climbing up the other side, especially in a league as competitive as the Big East. Here they are in year 3, and he's taking them to the NCAA tournament.
Well, I'm sure the ability to clean up the program and to clean out the program was a condition to him taking this job. But, you know, he's just got players who fit his system. And John Beilein is a coach's coach, very good tactician.
And Sumter's first bucket of the night.
And the reason why he's had the success is because these guys fit the program.
He'll tell you, it's not like they're going to recruit a whole lot of McDonald's All-Americans to Morgantown, West Virginia. So they better get guys who can play unselfishly as a team. And when in doubt, find a 6'10" kid from Martinsburg who can shoot him from anywhere.
And the look on Sheridan's face after that shot, just total resignation. He played the best defense he could without fouling, hand in the face, and Pittsnoggle still made it.
That is already the 10th three-pointer tonight for West Virginia in 18 attempts. Ridiculously good numbers. Foy on the drive. That's what he does as well as any guard in the Big East. And the real contrast in offensive philosophies, offensive styles. West Virginia often 5 out, nobody in, lots of passes, lots of three-point shots. Whereas Foy and Ray are going to make a lot of great individual plays now. 2-on-1. Ray to Sumter. No basket on the dunk. We got a block called on Frank Young of West Virginia.
Well, that was just a terrific play right there defensively by Sheridan. And then here's the drive by Ray. Ray doing a nice job of avoiding the charge. But here's what we talked about. Pittsnoggle sets the screen and he slips it backwards. And then Sheridan, just a hand in the face, does a nice job. And again, the reaction of Sheridan after he made that was like rolling your eyes. What more can I do?
Ray almost traveled. This is a fun game for Len Elmore to do. He loves saying Pittsnoggle, and you're getting a chance to say it a lot here tonight. Gansey keeps it alive and comes down with a rebound.
I'm going to have to start liking to say Gansey, too.
That's right.
As he's making himself a big name in this particular game, doing it on both ends of the floor as well as obviously on the offensive end, shooting the ball with accuracy.
Collins trying to shake Nardi. And Pitsnogler now again being hounded by Sheridan about 17 feet away from the basket.
Sheridan's got to be careful. When Pitsnogler's out there, he's got to get down, keep his center of gravity low because Pitsnogler will put it on the floor.
Gansey, 3 on the shot clock, got it back and scores again. 16 for Gansey, who's threatening to break the career high of 21 that he set yesterday against Boston College. And it's a 10-point lead now for the Mountaineers. The 8th seed in this tournament that beat Providence on day 1, beat the top seed Boston College yesterday in the quarters. Look at the bounce on 4. Boy, is he an athlete.
That is the strength of Villanova. They don't have to rush. They need to move the ball and, again, get the isolations. Mike Nardi is not a good penetrator, so he has got to find a way to get the ball to the guys who can do it instead of trying to make the play himself inside.
Hairbear steps in, and the mid-range jumper is there.
That's where Villanova has to clamp down. It's not offense. They will get the shots that they want as long as they continue to stay within their system, spread, and get it to those great offensive players. Defensively, though, as I said, you got to stay at home.
Ray from the corner misses the 3. Rebound Sumter. What a turnaround here tonight from their regular season matchup, January the 5th, the conference opener for both teams, when Villanova routed West Virginia 84-46, handing the Mountaineers their first loss of the season after a 10-0 start. And that started West Virginia on a 9-game slide. But over the last 10 games, they're climbing back up that mountain right now. West Virginia leading by 10, looking to advance to the championship game here in New York City. And the likes of Joe Hairbear and Mike Gansey intent on getting them there. There is so many meaningful games going on around the country today and tonight, and we've got another doozy coming up for you in our second semifinal here from New York City, as better than 1,400 wins have just walked into the building. A couple of future Hall of Famers in Jim Calhoun and Jim Boeheim, and you know what that means. Our second semifinal for the Big East Championship, presented by Aeropostale. Syracuse trying to avenge not 1 but 2 regular season losses to Connecticut. One as recently, Len, as Saturday when UConn thumped Syracuse by 18. We are looking forward to that one. It's available in ESPN HD, so after this game, about 20 minutes later, we'll start that game for you. Alan Ray buries a 3. He's got 14. He and Foy have combined for 30, trying to keep Villanova in it here as West Virginia, playing some great team, very smart basketball, trying to advance to the championship game for the first time in their Big East history.
But what West Virginia's doing on their offensive end is they're moving the ball well enough to get Villanova's defense to scramble. And when they wind up scrambling and switching, there's a mismatch to be had. And West Virginia isolating on that mismatch and taking full advantage, particularly when the big guys play the small guys.
Beilein has to use a timeout. Couldn't get it in. That's son Patrick Beilein, who was on his way to Richmond, where his dad was coaching. Dad got a new job, and son said, you know what, I'll go to Morgantown too. And it's worked out great for both of them. Well, there's the Mountaineer, who fortunately here does not actually fire the gun off unannounced as he does down at the Coliseum in Morgantown.
It's New York,
quite expecting it. That's true. Good point. 7-point lead for West Virginia. Remember, they came into this tournament off a loss to Seton Hall. They had 18 wins, and they were really looking to make a statement. They still had some work to do, you would think, to secure themselves a bid to the NCAA tournament. Well, by beating Providence and then Boston College yesterday, you'd have to think now with 20 wins, including a lot of quality wins, as you can see, and a hot streak to end the season, that West Virginia's going to the dance. And the Mountaineers have not been to the dance since 1998. So this has been a real feel-good story, a feel-good season for West Virginia, and they have exceeded everybody's expectations, with the possibility, the exception, maybe Len, of their own. Maybe they thought they could do this, but there weren't a lot of people outside Morgantown who thought they could.
Well, they hung in there, and they hung in there. That bad January that they had, they could have just packed it in. And that Seton Hall loss now is a toe stubber. It looked like a catastrophe a week ago.
Darius Nichols, and the lefty misses the baseline jumper. Fisher is tied up by Sumter, and the arrow will turn it over to Villanova.
And I said it in the first half. Dior Fisher has to get tougher with the rebounds. He's getting stripped. He's getting tied up. His arms are too long and his shoulders too broad to allow that to happen.
How about those numbers? They scored 46 points in total in a 38-point loss to the Wildcats January 5th, which began a 9-game difficult stretch for them. They went 2-7. They started 10-0, then they went 2-7 in their next 9. Now they're 8-2 in their last 10.
Well, obviously a much different team, but to go to what Villanova's doing right now, you saw Sumter with the one-on-one move. That's their game. They have an advantage with size and quickness right now, and they've got to be able to exploit it.
And Sumter, when healthy, is difficult an inside-outside matchup as there is in the Big East. Sumter at the line. Let's go to Mark Jones.
Curtis Sumter, the free throw line, has really extended his range, and he did it over the summer with the help of a guy we saw a little bit earlier at the start of the half, Tim Thomas, former Villanova player, now with the New York Knicks. Thomas lives just 5 minutes from the Villanova campus, had a chance to mentor Sumter during the summer, talk about some nuances of the game, and able to really help him extend that range. Back to you guys.
All right, thanks, Jones. See ya. Thomas looking like he wants to get out there and play a little bit for Villanova right now. He was only there 1 year, but in that year, Villanova advanced to the Big East Tournament Championship game. That was 1997.
10 seconds.
Yeah, they got him. Good pressure there by the Wildcats to force the turnover.
Well, they're taking a page out of Boston College's book, and Jay Wright's not going to wait. You know, against Boston College, West Virginia had a lot of difficulty against the full court pressure. They built a 22-point lead. Only in the second half did Al Skinner decide to apply full court pressure, and it paid dividends to a point. They knocked the lead down to 4. West Virginia very shaky. Jay Wright's leaving nothing to chance right now.
It's still a close game and an eternity still to play. Sheridan knocks it down a long 2. Villanova back within 3. And the fans from Philly starting to get into it here in the Garden right now. Now Sumter with a foul.
Well, look at Jason Frazier right here trying to amp his team up the last 2 timeouts. Exhorting his troops, almost like Washington addressing the troops right there.
Great leadership there from Frazier. Remember, they're all juniors, this highly thought of recruiting class. They've been together a long time right now, and they've been through a lot together, and they have come together this year. One story we haven't told that we will is the terrifying incident they had on a flight back from Providence. This is Villanova I'm speaking of. In January, when their plane tried to gain altitude, couldn't, and Jay Wright and some of the coaches were told to get ready to start manning the exits. They weren't sure if that plane was going down or not. Right now, Villanova, they're climbing right now. A three-pointer by Sumter to tie the game at 53, and the Cat fans are going nuts right now. It's a 10-0 run for Villanova.
Well, I tell you what, Villanova's got its groove back, and that groove is isolation, one-on-one, and being able to take advantage of the skills the individual player has. Right there out of the break, though, is Curtis Sumter as the trailer who gets the shot. Once again, fast break situation, Sumter comes down as the trailer, but in the last couple of possessions, isolations, guys taking people off the bounce, getting to the hole, and taking advantage of their quickness over West Virginia.
A 10-0 run for Villanova to tie it up. As we mentioned, that terrifying situation they had on the flight back from Providence in January, Len, and I think it had a way of putting everything in perspective, but also bringing this group closer together. Jay Wright says without a hint of a smile on his face, he was prepared for the worst. They weren't sure that that plane was going to be able to get back down in Providence. They were 14 miles out over the ocean when they started having problems, and it was touch and go for a while. And then they had another big snowstorm they had to fly in just a week later. A very scary situation for Villanova earlier this season.
Nothing like life-threatening situations to build camaraderie. Now they're a band of brothers.
J.D. Collins banks it in. West Virginia won't succumb to the Villanova run easily as Collins banks it in, and the Mountaineers are back on top by 2. The winner goes to the championship game tomorrow night against the winner of the second semifinal tonight, Syracuse and Connecticut. Sumter all of a sudden after a scoreless first half is on fire. He's got 9 and we're tied again.
And that was made by Randy Foy's ability to take his man off the bounce. Whoa, that was a slip. I don't know how that could have been a foul.
We are tied at 55. A couple of teams who are in a zone offensively here in New York City. Great basketball coming your way from the Garden tonight. Hey, Reese, next year tonight right here on ESPN. How about Marcus Williams and UConn on the left taking on Jerry McNamara and Syracuse, who's on the right. There they are side by side, but they're getting in the zone already, Len. No fraternizing with the enemy before the big game, huh?
Now, you know they know each other very, very well.
And you know this game is huge for Jerry McNamara because Syracuse has lost to Connecticut twice this year, and in each of those games, McNamara has not shot the ball well. He struggled in almost every game in his career against the Huskies. Look at the shooting in this game here tonight.
Neither of these teams struggling offensively, and there's still pretty good defense being played. It's just, again, West Virginia, a nice job of continually moving the ball until they get a wide open shot or a mismatch, and Villanova obviously spreading the floor now in the second half and getting their one-on-one capabilities executed.
Mike Gansey has now returned to the Mountaineers. That re-energizes them. He's had a terrific night. Frank Young on the floor as well. Gansey trying to shake Lowry with a shot clock under 10. Hair Bear for three.
And once again, Villanova has to stay at home. Even though the drive is coming, you find yourself on the weak side, you got to stay in contact with the shooter. You have to resist the habit of coming up to help, because West Virginia will make you pay.
You saw the numbers, 11 for 19 as a team from three-point range. And it's really been a team effort. Hair Bear, Pittsnoggle, Gansey, Young, Collins, all five guys on the floor right now for West Virginia have made at least 1 3 in this game. Pittsnoggle posting this time, follows his own miss. 11 for Pittsnoggle.
And see, that's the danger with going small. You got Sheridan and you got Sumter inside. Sheridan's got to play Pittsnoggle, and Sumter's got to play Hair Bear outside. And if the rebound goes on the glass and those two guys are occupied outside, the guards have to peel back.
Hair Bear got a piece of Allen Ray, who will get 3 free throws.
Again, you got to be able to stay home. This is the man right here. You know, you've got to get out a little bit more knowing that there's a shooter there, because off the penetration, you got guys wide open. And look how far Hair Bear was beyond the college arc. You know, Randy Foye did everything he's supposed to do. He stayed in, helped against the penetration, but you've got to stay spread when you know a shooter's on that side.
It's got to be difficult because, as you said, your instinct is to help, but when you play this West Virginia team, all 5 guys can shoot the 3, so there's nobody to help off of.
Well, when you know this penetration, you can't step up. You know, you're going to have to rely on the guy who's guarding the ball to continue to guard the ball.
Villanova creeping closer with the line as Frazier returns for Sheridan.
And Frazier is in there primarily for defense. He's a shot blocker. He's a rebounder, and that's where Villanova finds themselves having trouble against West Virginia. They make a stop, they make a block. West Virginia gets the offensive rebound.
Allen Ray now 17 tonight. Villanova back within almost 10 minutes to go here in the first of 2 Big East semifinals you'll see here tonight on ESPN. Syracuse and UConn, our second game tonight, and at Madison Square Garden is going to be rocking for that one.
See, the pressure spreads the floor a little bit, which is to West Virginia's favor, but it also quickens the pace, which is against them.
Jason Frazier didn't like how late that call came, as he is called for the foul, and now 3 free throws at the other end of the floor. Frank Young goes to the line. What a game we've had here in this first semifinal. I don't know if you can call them Cinderella, but West Virginia certainly making some noise here in championship week. Presented by 7-Up. This is the Big East Championship presented by Aeropostale. Dan Shulman, Len Elmore, and Mark Jones with you. West Virginia, the number 8 seed in the Big East, beat number 9 Providence on Wednesday. Then knocked off the top seed Boston College yesterday. And now they're trying to beat Villanova and advance to the championship game. And Frank Young starting for the second time in as many games because Tyrone Sally is still under the weather. Sally has played tonight, didn't play at all yesterday. And Young is arguably, Len, having the 2 best games of his career. He has given them a huge lift to the offensive end of the floor.
I'll tell you what, that was only the second trip to the free throw line for Young all year. He came into this game 1 of 2.
And those were yesterday. Had a career-high 14 yesterday. Lowry. He slipped and then got thumped on that drive into the paint. He's a tough guy there.
He certainly is. And again, he's a quick guy, too. And this is what we keep emphasizing. Villanova finding ways. Look at him. Air Bear is not nearly quick enough to guard Lowry in the open floor. And you see Lowry just gets right by him. Air Bear tries to body him up and gets called for. But those are the mismatches Villanova can create with those 4 guards out on the floor, or 3 guards out on the floor right now.
It's really a fascinating contrast in styles offensively between these two teams.
Well, it is, but both teams are playing to the personnel out on the floor.
Lowry missed them both. Came in as a 68% free throw shooter, and these are the 2 best free throw shooting teams in the Big East. West Virginia, as always, patient, methodical. Pittsnoggle gets it out of there. 15 on the shot clock. Pittsnoggle for 3. And Foy skies for the rebound. A rare miss from beyond the arc for the Mountaineers tonight.
Well, Pittsnoggle hasn't been there for a while, so.
I don't know if there's anybody in this league as a guard who can put the ball on the floor and get to the rim like Randy Foy can.
And he needs to keep doing it. I mean, that's their game. Wherever the opportunity presents itself, puts pressure on West Virginia. They'll either let him go or he'll go up strong and get fouled. Nice back door.
Pittsnoggle's going to the line. What a feed from Frank Young.
And they're asking for a goaltend because somebody grabbed the net as the ball was still in contact with the rim. And that's what the officials are discussing right now.
Bogdanaro, Pat Driscoll, and Mike Kitts talking it over. And they're saying 2 shots. They're not going to give him the basket. And now John Beilein.
Well, you look right here. Nice job on the back door. He was definitely fouled. There's the grab of the net and the ball. Well, he lets it go, but still, maybe he shook it. That's the other argument. When you pull down like that, you're now shaking the backboard.
Yeah.
You see it pulled it down. And the rim definitely, that breakaway rim definitely bent a little bit. It gave way.
So foul on Frazier, his 3rd.
I think John Beilein had a good argument.
Sheridan back in for Frazier, who sits down with the 3 fouls right now. Pittsnoggle knocks down the first. Not surprisingly, given the way we've seen him shoot threes, he's a great free throw shooter at 88%, although the 2 don't always go hand in hand. Another big night for Pittsnoggle. Lowry getting a lot of minutes in place of Mike Nardi, who's the normal starter. Nardi's got a sprained ankle that he suffered a couple of weeks ago. Still not 100%. Sumter, he's tough. That's a 3 for Sumter right in the face of Hairbear.
Well, Hairbear, recognizing he doesn't have the foot quickness, if Sumter were to explode to the basket, had to give room.
All 12 of Sumter's points here in the second half. Pittsnoggle to miss and a jump hook. Sumter another rebound. He's a different player here in the second half. Look at Lowry going all the way. Villanova back on top as Lowry turned on the Jets for the Cats. Number 3 on Pittsnoggle. Timeout on the floor. Villanova in front. And let's get an update now as we check back into the studio with Reese Davis.
Dan, the Garden isn't the only place where we've got barn burners aplenty. Also one going on at the United Center Chicago Big Ten Tournament. Alan Anderson right by Greg Bruner for the stuff. Michigan State surging on top of the Hawkeyes, but Iowa hanging around. It's a 3-point game, and St. Joseph's in the A-10 up by 4 on Xavier. Back to the Garden after this.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of the 2005 Big East Championship, presented by Aeropostale, is brought to you by 7-Up. If you want 100% natural lemon and lime flavors, the only way to go is up. And in part by Nissan, who remind you there's no better time to shift your ride. And Nike Pro Apparel.
Back here in New York City, so many people talking about Syracuse and UConn in the second semi tonight. This is not bad for an appetizer, don't you think? Villanova and West Virginia having a whale of a game. And the officials are overlooking at a replay of Curtis Sumter's last shot, which was ruled a 3. And they're trying to decide if his toes were on the line.
And clearly, at least when he had that white tip shoe, you could see his foot's on the line. Yep. toe is on the line. The contrast really helps.
And so I believe they're going to take a point off the board. We had a couple of up and downs after that. That was the next available whistle. It's a correctable error. And now they're explaining it to Fred Hill, one of the assistant coaches for Villanova, that the three is going to be a 2, and we're going to have a tie game again. Pat Driscoll acting as the messenger here tonight. West Virginia had a terrific first half, led by 7 at the break. Villanova has started, Len, to use their athleticism a little bit more effectively here in the second half, especially Kyle Lowry, who's a freshman. He made the Big East All-Rookie team. He's not a starter, but he's been sensational tonight, has 10 points off the bench.
And that's why you continue to try different combinations out there when you're having some problems matching up. And Jay Wright inserted Lowry earlier, took him out, inserted him again, and now he's finding that there's some value, at least with the unit that's on the floor, and having Lowry bring the ball up rather than Randy Foye, and have Lowry try to break down the defense.
Pittsnogle having a good night despite playing only 4 minutes in the first half with foul trouble. And Lowry at the line for Villanova, tied at 64, the winner into the championship game tomorrow night. West Virginia's 10th year in the Big East. This is their first time even getting to the semis. Villanova last got to the championship game in '97. Their only Big East tournament championship was in '95, led by Kerry Kittles.
Here's the ball movement right now, and what West Virginia wants to do is make people chase. And when you chase, you have to switch off the screen. Somebody gets lost. West Virginia excellent in finding them. That time it was Gansey.
Mike Gansey now with 18. A nice assist to J.D. Collins, and West Virginia back on top. Again, West Virginia in the zone, although they do mix it up every now and again, play different zones, move guys around. Allen Ray, back rim, rebound Pittsnogle.
Would have been much better serve to use the backboard.
Sumter on Collins right now. Sheridan is guarding Pittsnogle. Here's Gansey getting free again. And Foye, one of the best rebounding guards around at 5 per game, brings it down for the Cats. He is quick and he is strong. Randy Foye's got a lot of good things going for him out on the basketball court. Sumter on the drive. The shot over Frank Young. And the rebound of the Mountaineers.
Now the Mountaineers are playing their pace right now as Collins kind of walks it up. Just trots a little bit to make sure he doesn't get another 10-second call, but this is how they want to do now. Again, spread the floor, set a lot of screens, force the switches.
And get it into the hands of Pittsnogle about 21 feet away from the basket.
Unless you get a wide open shot. There's the adjustment right there. I think Will Sheridan is now going to have to get down off the screens, low center grab, and play Pittsnogle as though he was playing a guard.
And a lot of people around the country who have not seen West Virginia might be thinking, okay, I found my Cinderella. Is this really a Cinderella story?
Well, based upon the peaks and valleys they suffered throughout the season, you know, they came back from oblivion where they lost 7 out of the last 10 to come to be a very cohesive unit. And here's a great example of cohesiveness. Take a look at Mike Gansey will come and set the screen. Sheridan goes out, but there's miscommunication because Lowry also steps out there. And then Gansey just slips the pick. And then here's Pittsnogle, just takes a screen and steps outside as Sumter is too late. These guys are playing together, and they're playing together well.
Again, for those of you who might not have heard it off the top of the show, as Nardi comes up with a steal for Villanova. This is where the Cats are dangerous. Ray the miss, though, and West Virginia controls. The Mountaineers started the year 10-0 and got into the rankings for a couple of weeks. Beat LSU, beat George Washington, beat NC State. Then they went 2-7 in their next 9 games. But now in their last 10, they're 8-2. They've beaten Pittsburgh twice, beat Boston College yesterday. Pittsnogle's reinsertion into the starting lineup has been a big key for them. The shots have started falling, and they're a real force to be reckoned with in the Big East.
That time, Curtis Sumter did a great job against a smaller but quicker J.D. Collins in taking the baseline away. Collins turns the ball over. That's what Villanova has to do. Everybody on that floor in a white shirt has to be able to move their feet defensively.
And now Pittsnogle, I believe, is bleeding as Bob Donato has stopped play, and Pittsnogle, I believe, is going to have to come out of the game. We should also mention that Villanova, we talked about West Virginia's peaks and valleys. Villanova, they just keep rising as well. They've won 8 in a row. And 10 of 11, they annihilated Kansas back in January. They've beaten Pittsburgh, beat them in the regular season, beat them yesterday to get here. This Villanova team is playing some terrific basketball as well. Jay Wright has his team clicking on all cylinders, but they're running into a team at West Virginia, which is playing about as well as they can play right now. Villanova the 4 seed, West Virginia the 8 seed in the very competitive Big East, where 6 teams appear to be a lock for a bid to the dance, including both of these. And league officials still holding out hope that somehow, some way, either or both of Notre Dame or Georgetown might find their way into the dance.
Now here's the pressure being applied again after that turnover. Villanova, you turn it over, you don't get a good shot. You've got to string together some stops right now. This team will spread you out again and embarrass you.
Young trying to follow his own miss. Had it for a moment. Out of bounds to the Cats. But tomorrow on ESPN2 and ESPN2 HD, the Phillips Big 12 semis begin at 2 Eastern as Oklahoma, the top seed in that conference, takes on Texas Tech. And then it's still to be determined a matchup for the second semifinal tomorrow at 4:30 Eastern. The Phillips 66 Big 12 tournament. For more information, log on to ESPN.com. All a part of one of the best weeks of the year, Championship Week, presented by 7-Up. Good work underneath by Frazier to come up with a rebound and draw the foul. Again, a guy with bad knees, recovering from a broken hand. He's had a stress fracture. Physically not able to be the player he was expected to be coming out of high school, but you can't fault the effort.
Well, consistently he can't be that player because of the knee situation. You know, he puts a lot of stress on him over a period of time and have a lot of difficulty playing back-to-back games. But for those moments that he's out there, you saw what he can give you. A terrific rebounder. He will battle you for position. May have to continue to work on those free throws a little bit in clutch situations.
In their win over St. Joseph's, a game you and I did several weeks ago, he might have been the best player on the floor. 14 points and 14 rebounds.
And then after that, he had some difficulty, obviously, because he can't really sustain over a period of time because of that knee situation. And that's been a tough break for him because he came in with such potential written all over him.
Got tape on both ankles, got wraps on both knees, got a soft cast on his right hand.
Villanova, they got to scramble, but they don't have to foul. Boy, just missed going in the backcourt with that ball. Collins saved it.
Under 4 minutes to play, West Virginia trying to pull off what in some circles would be considered an upset and try to advance to the championship game against the winner of Syracuse and Connecticut, which is our next semifinal tonight, right here on ESPN. A great night of basketball from the Garden. Gansey got his jersey pulled from behind. Good find there by the official, Bob Donato. And they're going to count the bucket again. So the Mountaineers are up 6 under 4 minutes to play here in New York as we check in on some of the other big games with Reese Davis.
All right, Dan, and there is news off the court. Illinois coach Bruce Weber's mother died earlier tonight. Dawn Weber was rushed to the hospital after suffering chest pains earlier today in the Chicago area. She underwent surgery for a torn aorta and died after the surgery around 6 p.m. Whether Weber will coach in the remainder of the Big Ten tournament, which starts against Minnesota tomorrow for Illinois, is uncertain. Weber wasn't told of his mother's illness until after the Illini's victory over Northwestern this afternoon. Dawn Weber was 81 years old, and our condolences to the entire Weber family. Back to the Garden for the rest of the Big East semifinal right after this.
Revolution, get down. Revolution, get down. Revolution, get down. Don't treat me like I was born for nothing. 99 ain't no problem. All or nothing, get down. All or nothing, get down. All or nothing, get.
We see you getting the next big idea. We see 400 employees in 3 years and new partnerships formed. We see ideas exchanged freely. At Microsoft, we stand in awe of you and your potential. It's what inspires us to create software that helps you reach it.
Don't miss miss another moment. Go to Cialis.com and find out what the Cialis Promise program can mean for you. It's an offer you won't want to miss. Are you ready?
Orange cream slush. Sonic's got it, others don't. Indulge in the dreamy taste of fruity orange and cool vanilla, blended together into a refreshing drink escape. Sonic's orange cream slush treat. It's not just good, it's Sonic good.
Sunday, March 27th. Before they can save a life,
Who here feels like they have no idea what they're doing?
they must get a life. Grey's Anatomy, premiering Sunday, March 27th, only on ABC.
Sunday on the season finale of Tilt.
Ready to lose? Big words from a little man.
It's down to the final round.
I get the bracelet, you get half the winnings.
Tilt, the season finale on a special night, Sunday at 9 p.m. Eastern on ESPN, presented by Toyota.
Well, the bright lights of the big city don't seem to be bothering the kids from the mountains of West Virginia. The Mountaineers looking to advance to the championship game.
I can't get the special pouring out of my head. I can't get the special pouring out of my head.
Welcome back inside Madison Square Garden, everybody. Dan Schulman, Len Elmore, Mark Jones with you. The Big East Championship presented by Aeropostale. Our first semifinal game, and the 8th seed West Virginia, which knocked off top-seeded Boston College yesterday, leading Villanova by 6, just 3:39 to go. Mike Gansey going to the line for the Mountaineers. You're looking at Kevin Pittsnoggle, who's had another good game with 16 points for West Virginia. And there's Gansey, who set a career high with 21 yesterday and could match it if he knocks down this free throw. Gansey, a transfer from St. Bonaventure, sat out last year. So his first year as an active member of the program, missed the free throw. Rebound to Frank Young. West Virginia going to run a little clock, run their offense. J.D. Collins got surprised on that pass from Joe Hairberry. He wasn't really looking for it.
And you see right now a little trepidation by Villanova to come up and really defend the passing lanes, because West Virginia has gone backdoor so easily on them.
Mountaineers played through this kind of a situation yesterday, Len, when they almost let a big lead get away from Boston College, but were able to preserve it in the final minutes. Gansey just has a knack of being in the right place at the right time, but that shot was blocked. Nothing ever hit the rim, and that's a shot clock violation on the Mountaineers. For more on Gansey, let's go to Mark Jones.
Yeah, guys, he almost never made it to Morgantown, West Virginia. After transferring, he had visits planned for New Mexico, Clemson, and some Mid-American Conference schools, but his first visit was to West Virginia. He fell in love with the place because of the program, and they had his major forensics, and it looks like he's ready to do an autopsy on Villanova.
Very nice, Mark. Mike Nardi for 3, bringing the Cats back within 3. Nardi has not been a big factor here tonight, but he's back on the floor now. His first points of the game make it a 3-point game. Boy, what a game this has been, and we're expecting just as much excitement, if not more, in the second game tonight. Syracuse and UConn.
There's a mismatch right there. Gansey's got Frazier. He's got to be able to do something with it.
Now they're allowing the screen.
Well, they switch back then.
How about Mike Nardi picking a fine time to get on the scoreboard tonight for the Cats?
Well, this is what Mike Nardi does better. Leave the penetration to other people. You spot up there for those jump shots. You trigger the offense. And Gansey's saying, I know I was too late. But he has to trigger the offense, but position himself to be successful from beyond the arc.
West Virginia trying to avenge a 38-point defeat in the regular season to Villanova. Never in the history of the Big East has a team lost by that much and then avenged that defeat during the same season. Now we've got a Villanova foul on the inside. Neither team is over the limit yet. Oh, excuse me, Villanova is over the limit. That's already their 18th foul. So West Virginia's going to the line. It'll be Big Pittsnoggle.
Well, Pittsnoggle is a broad guy as well as a tall guy. And Sumter having a lot of trouble getting around him.
When he showed up as a freshman, he was a lot lighter than he is now.
Watch how much trouble Sumter has trying to get around. Instead, he had to reach over and created a foul. But you've got to be able, once he slides to that post, if you're going to play behind him, you better be ready to go up. But if you're going to try to get the ball, you've got to get around, move your feet.
Don't know how many people outside the Big East know a whole lot about Gansey and Pittsnoggle before this week, but they've combined for 38 points tonight. Good defense there by Gansey. Ray wanted to get the three off. They forgot about Frazier on the inside. Sumter found him. 3-point game. Timeout, Villanova.
One of the few times of miscommunication by the West Virginia defense. They've been beaten off the bounce. They've been beaten by some penetrating kick. But they haven't given up an awful lot of easy baskets. Again, you just take a look at the ball movement. Villanova really getting West Virginia to scramble. And again, no communication as Frazier down low. Pitznagel's the guy who's caught in between right here. And he knows it.
There's a lot of great action still to come. All a part of Championship Week presented by 7-Up. A quick break between games, and then it's right back to the action here at MSG. Syracuse in Connecticut. UConn's already beaten the Orange twice during the regular season. That's our second semi here at the Big East Championship presented by Aeropostale. And at the top of the hour over on ESPN2 out of the ACC, it's Virginia taking on Duke. That game subject to blackout in ACC markets. Both games are available in high definition. For more information, log on to ESPN.com. Under 2 minutes to go. Pitznagel and the Mountaineers trying to hang on and advance to the championship game for the first time in West Virginia's Big East history. They've been in the league 10 years. This is the first time they've ever gotten to the semis.
Well, again, still very tentative against this pressure is West Virginia. And they're going to try to run some clock, obviously. Look for a good one or look to get fouled. Villanova does not have to foul. They just have to keep them from keep West Virginia from getting the easy one.
Collins the pull-up. And Gansey with the rebound in the corner and calls a timeout. Offensive rebounding has been a big part of the story here tonight as West Virginia has been very active and opportunistic in the offensive glass.
Especially with the long shots, there come the long rebounds.
Well, again, we characterize this maybe unfairly as an appetizer. Here comes the main course. The Big East, one of the elite conferences in basketball, and the proof is in the championships. Syracuse winning the national championship 2 years ago, and then last year, of course, Connecticut, led by Emeka Okafor and Ben Gordon, defeating Georgia Tech 82-73 to win the national title. UConn also the defending Big East tournament champs. They have won it 6 times. Syracuse has won the Big East championship 3 times, but not since 1992. One of those powerhouses is going to the championship game against the winner of this terrific game.
Well, to tell you how big that offensive rebound was by Gansey, obviously a new 35 seconds for West Virginia, and the way they run it, you know, they're liable to run that thing down, and then there'll be obviously less than a minute for Villanova to be able to come back. Villanova key is not to foul. Play defense without fouling.
West Virginia's got 10 offensive rebounds in this game. And a fresh 35. They can take it under a minute here with a 3-point lead. Frank Young still on the floor. The replacement for the ill Tyrone Sally's had another good night. Getting some crunch time minutes here. Pitznagel. And the rebound to Sumter. Did they need that kind of a shot that early, Len?
Well, it was there. And at 6'11", Pitznagel should have made it.
Under a minute to go, Villanova down 3. Not anymore. They're down 1. Randy Foy now has 20 points, 43 in his 2 games here in the Big East tournament, and we got ourselves a 1-point game.
Well, it couldn't have worked out any better for Villanova. Again, stopping West Virginia on one end, preventing them from getting an easy shot, and then a quick strike by Randy Foy. And it comes down to that isolation, off the bounce, using the athleticism and the quickness that should have characterized Villanova's attack all day.
West Virginia ball up 1, less than a minute to go as we check in again with Reese Davis.
Dan, also have a great finish going on in the Big Ten. Iowa and Michigan State waning seconds. About a half minute to go. 4-point lead for the Hawkeyes. Shannon Brown drains the 3 for the Spartans. Now, Iowa hasn't turned the ball over in the last 9 minutes until, well, they were about to. They threw the pass to Mike Henderson, and he just dropped it out of bounds. You can watch that game over on ESPN2. Hawkeyes still up by a single, and in the A-10, St. Joe's survives against Xavier.
Andres, thank you very much. West Virginia up by a single here. Under a minute to go. Mountaineer ball. Villanova over the limit. The arrow goes to the Cats. Each team still with a timeout. West Virginia with 1. Villanova with 2. Patrick Beeline has returned to the game for the first time in a long time. Collins threw it away. Miscommunication by the Mountaineers.
Well, he expected Gansey to stay where he was. Gansey came up to the middle. The rule of thumb is make sure of the pass.
14th turnover committed by West Virginia to just 5 by Villanova. And now the Cats can take the lead. What a game.
But, you know, it's not a game-ending situation. Obviously, if Villanova scores, West Virginia has an opportunity. Unless it's a 3, of course, then it's a 2-possession game.
Boy, nice find. Sumter inside. Villanova up by 1. Their first lead of the second half. Timeout on the floor. Two teams which have had terrific seasons. Villanova and West Virginia both certainly going to the dance, both exceeding the expectations that a lot of people had for them before the season, and both of them playing some great basketball here tonight.
Well, again, you're going to take a look. You see where Gansey is right here. Now watch. He's going to come up. Collins thinks he's going to go back. Now, I don't know. Boy, there's a lot of room out there. I don't know how Collins could make that mistake. But once again, off the penetration, something good happens for Villanova. They can do that every time if they spread the floor and put it in the hands of Foy and Ray.
And the frustration for John Beilein, whose team has led almost the entire night, talking about that turnover. Len, they've got 30 seconds left. The shot clock is turned off. What is the most important thing that West Virginia needs to do in order to score here?
Just run their stuff as they've done all day. They got to move the ball. First, they got to break the pressure. And they can't be tentative. The last several trips, they have been extraordinarily tentative, led to that other turnover. But now you just got to attack this pressure. And if you don't have an advantage, which they don't, run your stuff.
They do have a timeout if they need it. Hairbear for 3. Got it! West Virginia goes up a deuce as Collins found Hairbear in the corner for the 3.
This is what West Virginia also has been doing all day. Just moving the ball, making sure that they're able to create mismatches or help situations. You know, watch the pass to the high post. Collins cuts and receives. Now there's a tendency to help. And that's the mistake. Stay at home. Allen Ray, again, went to that tendency of trying to help on the drive. You've got to stay at home on the shooters. How many times have I said that today?
Enough that they should start listening to you. Timeout for Jay Wright, the last for Villanova. West Virginia is 13 for 24 from three-point range. There are times where things will break down and they'll have to shoot some threes, but tonight has not been one of those nights. They've gotten threes within the flow of their offense, and that's why they're shooting such a high percentage tonight.
Well, it's all been about the ball movement and the movement without the ball. They have gotten Villanova to scramble in any number of situations, forcing switches off a screen, and then they find the mismatch. They exploit it. When Villanova wants to get aggressive and deny, they go back door, and they got great passes. Dior Fisher made a couple of terrific passes off the bounce. And then finally, on penetration, as we saw there, forcing Villanova to make a decision, and each time in the critical part of this game, they've made the wrong decision.
Now Villanova's got some decisions to make as well. It's their ball, 19.4 seconds to go. The shot clock not a factor. The Wildcats are out of timeouts. West Virginia's committed 6 fouls, so the next one, should it be a non-shooting foul, would be the 1-and-1. And a lot of individual ability, a lot of athleticism and talent for Villanova. What kind of a shot are they looking for?
They're looking for, again, off-the-bounce penetration. Just like that. Bang.
Oh, he's special. Randy Foy is a special player to tie the game. West Virginia's got time to try and win it in regulation. Beilein had Hairbear in the corner, and Gansey can't put it in, but he got pushed. Gansey got pushed, and we've got a foul call with less than a second to go. Unbelievable.
Well, if it comes back to bite Villanova, this is what they'll see in their dreams, the inability to get the rebound. Gansey slashes in, gets it. Ray looks like he did the push right there. You take a look right here, shot goes up, and look at the slash right to the basket. No one puts a body on Gansey, and there's the push right there, ever so slightly, but nevertheless, the officials detected it.
We talked about it earlier tonight. He's got a nose for the ball. He's got a habit of being around the action, even when he's coming from 30, 40 feet away. And now, much to the dismay of what has suddenly become a pro-Villanova crowd, most of the fans here don't like this call. And with 0.2 of a second left, Gansey's got a chance to just about seal a trip into the championship game, and he calmly knocks down the first.
Well, again, Villanova is no one to blame it themselves. Gansey has a nose for the ball, but you got to block him out.
Young back into the game now for West Virginia. 0.2 of a second. You can't catch and shoot. You can only tap. They got to throw this ball a long way. And West Virginia's going to the championship game here in the Big East. Mike Gansey knocks down a couple of clutch free throws after a foul with 0.2 of a second left. And the number 8 seed in the tournament is going to the Big East championship game, something that has never happened in the 26-year history of this league.
Well, the anger by Villanova is not righteous in that they didn't get the job done, but the bottom line is they don't want a game decided in a scrum for the ball on a slight push. And a lot of people, obviously in the stands, agree with that. But look at Gansey. That's where the mistake was made, allowing him to get there. And the push was ever so slightly an attempt to go for the ball as well. But the officials saw it as a push, and that's the game.
What a dramatic conclusion to an unbelievably entertaining game here tonight as West Virginia advances to the Big East championship game. Mark Jones is standing by with Coach John Beilein.
Coach, Hebert hit a big three after you guys had turned it over on the previous possession. How did you alter your press break on that possession?
Well, you know what? We just made one bad read on the turnover. We just changed it in the huddle, and we didn't pick it up. And so, hey, this is the game of basketball. You got to remember the youth of these kids, and they're going to make mistakes, and you just got to say, keep coming back. So we had to be more aggressive. When we got more aggressive, we were better.
No team has ever played 4 consecutive games and won. How do you guys get past that?
You know, we've never beaten Syracuse or Connecticut either at any time, and since I've been there, so it's a tough one for us. We'll enjoy that, and we'll just rest, do the same thing we did, be light with it, and see what we can do.
Thanks a lot, Coach. Guys, back to you.
All right, Mark, thank you very much. What a game here tonight. West Virginia.
Forwards,